The short answer to anybody who is considering coming to a training, not just this training, but any training that works with presence, and am I too advanced or am I a beginner, and is this cut out for me? It definitely is, because there is no end to deepening the presence. Entering like an empty, blank space where anything can happen, because I don't know what's going to happen, because I is not here. I is to one side. So anything can happen because there is no controller. Nobody is in control of the situation. Anything can happen. So mystery has an opportunity, if you like, to come through and manifest itself. So working from that space as a body worker or as a human being operating in life from that perspective, it's extremely rich, it's extremely valuable, it's extremely creative, endlessly creative. And look at the energy that causes anger, which is going to be this like quite angular, sharp sensations, probably quite hot, fast moving through my body, that cause this like wow, that eventually comes out as anger. So I lost myself a little bit. I lost my presence in anger. Hi, Dan here from Lovecore and The Armoring Arts. Somebody asked me a question. He was considering coming to the training Deepen Your Presence in September, and he said, I'm already well trained and well present. Is this going to be a beginner's or advanced training? Very fair question. So let's look at it a little bit. I feel deepening the presence is the most important subject that we as humans can practice, in everyday life. Because honestly, presence is everything. If I'm not present, that means I'm not present to life itself. I'm like headphones, goggles, and closed senses, and disconnected and being in my own little bubble, lonely, lonesome, disconnected. So that's not a point of life. So I feel point of life is to be as present as possible to absolutely everything I can be present to. And so by definition that means there is no end of this road. It's an endless practice, endless training, if you like, spiritual gym, So in this spiritual gym I can practice my presence on few different levels. Essentially it's only one system, because me, this bubble, I am, Dan, whatever, high self, everything there is in this Merkaba is just one thing. It happens right here, right now. So it's not really possible to distinguish between all these different dimensions that I exist on. But because we're human, and to help us deal with everyday kind of life, we can split it into 5 different levels. So we can split it into physical, emotional, mental, energetic, and spiritual body that I have, that are part of this system. So if I'm practicing, we have a visitor. So if I'm practicing my presence on a physical level, that would mean sharpening my senses and actually paying attention to everything around me, people essentially, and myself and my environment. So why is that important? It's important because I want to be connected to reality. I want to feel it. I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to sense it. I want to be here. I don't want to be somewhere disconnected or disassociated in cuckoo land. I want to be here. And so deepening the presence training will never end really in how closely can I hear someone or something. Can I hear the tonality of the voice on a basic level? Can I hear the emotionality behind the words, another basic level? Can I start feeling the subtle energies of the intent behind what they're saying or how they're feeling? Can I start seeing into the complex energetic structure and using all of my senses to kind of pierce through, to tune in, to feel into another person, simply for the purpose of being connected to them, being intimate, because being intimate means being close to. That's all it means. Intimate is close. So I want to be as intimate with myself and with others as I can, and with life itself. So deepening the presence on a physical level will be, first of all, listening to everything I can, as I say, looking at things really closely, looking at things, like seeing the difference in my friend's appearance minute to minute, looking at every tiny little minute muscle change, every tiny little kind of face change. You'll be listening to all sorts of, like for example this dog now. So as I'm talking to you, I also want to be present to as many sounds as possible at one time. So this again is a spiritual gym for my, if you like, listening ability, to be present to as many signs of life as possible. And then also I want to sharpen it, and I want to tune it in. I want to hone it down to like laser sharp perception. So that's why I want to look at tiny little muscle movements and interpret them through understanding of body language and what person is actually saying. I want to be listening to the sound that I can hardly hear and focusing on that so that my presence gets sharp, because the more I'm focused, the more my presence is sharp. I want to feel or sense as much as I can. And so this is on a physical level. On an emotional level, of course, there is emotionality and all sorts of emotions. Can I be present to them? Am I actually aware, not only of, first of all, of my emotion, how am I feeling? What is going on? I mean, every second of every day, not just like now and then I forget about it and I go shopping in my head, and for the next 3-5 hours or few days I don't even pay attention to how I feel. I mean, practice my presence ongoingly, second by second. So the answer to the question, is this for beginners or for advanced people? It's for everybody, because there is no end to this road. There is no end to, a beginner might be, let's say, they will feel it every 10 minutes. An advanced person will be feeling it every second for the duration of 10 minutes and the rest of their life. So in that sense, this training is, or that training is for everybody. So on an emotional level, really, why is it important? So that I can develop my empathy, so I can begin to understand what are the people around me actually saying, feeling, who are they? Why are they who they are? Why am I who am I? It makes me a more capable human being. It makes me a more rounded human being. And then we go on a mental level. Am I present to my thoughts? Am I present to concepts that run me? Am I present to belief systems, which is all within the mind? Mental level. And that's a big one. It actually also goes for the emotional ones, which ones are under the surface, which ones are kind of, if you like, behind the view, in a hidden part of my psyche, in a shadow, we can call it. So on a mental level, how closely do I know my mental self? How well can I see it in others? How well can I recognize it? How quickly can I recognize it? Am I being fooled? Am I being tricked? Am I being lied to? This is kind of a lot to do with both emotional and mental level of presence, being present to. What am I present to? Am I present to reality and truth? Or am I not? Am I just like a la 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 la, not really paying attention to life itself? Then we get into the energetic presence, or practicing the energetic presence. So here we can really start looking at this system. So there is physical reality, there is emotional reality, like waters of the body and feelings and emotions. There is mental level, and then there is energetic level. So this is slightly reality behind facade, if you like. It's what you can't see with the naked eye. You can't see it with your eyes. You can feel it, you can sense it, you can, intuit it for sure. For example, practicing the presence on that level would be catching myself just when I start developing an emotion, any kind of emotion. What is the energy behind that actually runs or that initiates that emotion, and start paying attention to that. So that's gonna allow me such freedom to not be hijacked and hooked by the emotion, by any kind of emotion, because immediately I can step backwards and say, hey, I know that energy. I can sense it like vibration through the body. That if I didn't pay attention, if I let myself go, the energy would kind of externalize itself in the view of emotion. So that's a very good training of the presence. I can, for example, work with elements. I can start paying attention to the 5 basic elements, or 5 elements, fire, water, air and space. And I can start noticing each one, obviously allocate time to each one separately, so I can actually focus on it and go deeper into it. Beginning to learn it, beginning to understand it, becoming elements, becoming it. Focusing to the point of actually becoming it. And this is the thing with presence. It's becoming all these things in life. It's becoming emotion. It's becoming the mental construct, because that's how I get to know it. First I need to see it like a idea, kind of, or look, there's anger. Then I need to be angry, become angry, to experience it from the inside. Then I need to step away from it and look at the energy that causes anger, which is gonna be this like quite angular, sharp sensations, probably quite hot, fast moving through my body, that cause this like wow, that eventually comes out as anger. So I lost myself a little bit. I lost my presence in anger. Working with the elements, it's basically understanding the nature itself, at least physical reality itself. So becoming each one of those elements and spending time with them will allow me to shift my being to become more of one, less of the other, so that I can balance myself, so I can regulate my system. I can also do that as a body worker with my clients. If my client displays too much of one element, I can counteract it with inputting, becoming the element they need, and then inputting into the body, into the system from me. So energetic practicing of deepening the presence, elements, a beautiful way, because we are made of them, they're everywhere. So it's like an easy tool to practice with, deepening the presence on an energetic level. And then we come to spiritual level. Spiritual level of deepening the presence really is connection to God, it's connection to divine. This is not a religious thing, this is not a dogma, it's just isness. It's really learning to step away, learning to put this Deyan Matuka personality to one side and surrender to such extent that my higher self, my guides, angelic realm, God, whatever you want to call it, can actually pour through me and act through me. And so essentially deepening the presence practice is a lot of surrender work. The ego, surrendering the ego, surrender that I know how to do it. I've been trained, I'm a professional, I know better. Putting that aside and entering like an empty, blank space where anything can happen, because I don't know what's going to happen, because I is not here, I is to one side. So anything can happen because there is no controller, nobody is in control of the situation. Anything can happen. So mystery has an opportunity, if you like, to come through and manifest itself. So working from that space as a body worker or as a human being operating in life from that perspective, it's extremely rich, it's extremely valuable, it's extremely creative, endlessly creative. Endlessly more creative than this tiny little Deyan Matuka. I'm just like 56 years of experience, blah blah blah, tiny little nothing. But the mystery of the presence, so this is the presence, if you like, there was a being present, then there is presence with a capital P, well, that's the one that I'm talking about now. So deepening the presence on that level, it's not really, you can't call it deepening, you can just, because it's already it. there's nothing deeper than it. The training is really in practicing to move away from it. Like Dhyan Matuka is in between its infinite wisdom and greatness and everythingness. And so the practice really is to remove myself. And then as soon as I take over again, which happens all the time, I start thinking, I have an opinion, I have a feeling, then it's again remembering to, okay, hang on a second, I've kind of clocked, go back into the ego and put it to one side again. So practicing deepening the presence on that level, really, it's just surrender work. It's spending time being conscious of who is running the show. Is it I, Dhyan Matuka, personality, ego, or am I like an empty space that anything can come through? So I hope this makes sense. So then again, the short answer to anybody who is considering coming to a training, not just this training, but any training that works with presence, and am I too advanced or am I a beginner, and is this cut out for me? It definitely is, because there is no end to deepening the presence. If anybody thinks that they're deep enough, then there's a massive ego. So they're definitely on a beginner scale as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I hope this explanation makes sense, and if you have any questions, please write to me and I'll answer them as best as I can. Until such time, all the best. Ciao.